house, dude. If we pull this off, then like I have to retire. Got it. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Stunned. He's stunned. Yeah, he's dead. One more kill. We got him. Oh my god. No way. No way. No way. No way. No way. Yes. 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 Oh my god. Oh my god. In this video, I'll be going over my full PvP build on Tempest, including every small bonus that I get from every area, and then I'll be giving you some tips on how to actually use this build and going through some plays that will happen in your games and how you should be thinking through them. So this isn't just going to be a put this on and go BG kind of video. There are many things that come together to make builds good. So check these timestamps to jump to relevant information for you. I'll be covering pretty much everything, but you can kind of just take the essences and set pieces and then try this on your own. So we'll start with the skills and the essences. Firstly, we're going to be using Flowing Strike, and that's going to be giving us a dash, going to give us a shield from our Eternal Affixes. If you have 4 out of 4, for me, this gives me 121,000 damage shield. It's going to be a little bit less in BG, but it still is a very nice shield nonetheless. Windwalk, and this is going to make us untargetable, and this gives you an unbelievable amount of ability to win 1v2s, dive in the backline, stand on idle, take no damage. It gives you a lot of outplay potential as well. And then we have Crosswinds, which is one of the highest damaging skills, and Rolling Surf as well. So we can be moving around, doing damage from a distance. We're using Skin Parter with this. And for the normal primary attack, you can pretty much use Wind or Wave Edge. I usually use Wind Edge because I can kind of use the dash sometimes to chase down an opponent or to get out the way or to jump in even. But you might find yourself accidentally jumping back into a fight with Wind Edge on because it'll kind of just teleport you to the enemy once your Rolling Surf turns off. So you can get away with using Wave Edge too. You're not really going to be using this primary attack so much, so it's not a big deal. And now on to the essences. So for the Helm essence, this is a Windwalk essence that is just going to decrease the cooldown of Windwalk every time we deal a crit. And we're going to be critting a lot because I have crit chance on a lot of my pieces, which I'll show you later on in the video. So this is just, of course, going to make you be able to use Windwalk more, which gives you more outplay potential. You have a little bit more utility. And then with our Eternal Affixes, you'll even be able to heal a little bit. Now onto the chest essence, Memento Onus. This one makes Flowing Strike into a dash, but more like Breaker. The other essence you could use is Zephyr Guard. That was the previous essence many people were using it for Flowing Strike, but that dash is a little bit buggy and you have to aim it a little bit more. And sometimes it just won't even go off. It's a little bit weird. So Memento Onus is the way to go pretty much from now on until there's something better. And also this Flowing Strike essence is going to stun enemies that we hit, and it's very easy to hit since this is dashing like Breaker. So that gives you another stun, a little bit more utility, a little bit more outplay potential, and it will even spawn an extra Zephyr if you critical hit, which you'll see the Zephyrs actually do make a difference in BGs more than you think. The Shoulder Essence Safe Borders. So this is allowing you to use Flowing Strike when you're suffering from loss of control, and it gives you a little bit of immunity afterwards too. So you can use this even on an engage to be able to actually get into the fight and then start doing damage, and as well when you're trying to leave a fight because you've been stunned by a wizard or a bard or what have you. Onto the pants, we have Howling Anchor. So this is going to apply a bleed to crosswinds. This is very good to use in BGs because adding dots just is always nice, and then it also helps pair with the pain class that I'm using, which I'll kind of cover that in the later part of this video. And then of course main hand we have Scheme Parter. This is just going to make Rolling Surf ranged while also doing damage. This is going to have the highest damage output, and you're going to be able to play from close or play from far. So it gives you a little bit more variety in your gameplay. One of the offhands, Hurricane Hitch, of course, is just adding crosswinds to your primary attack. Helps you do a lot more damage. And then with that, Shriek Worth makes crosswinds do more damage, makes it more AoE. The AoE does a lot of damage too, applying more bleeds to everybody, And then the final offhand, Marozi Spine. So this just simply increases your Zephyr damage, which doesn't seem like it does too much on its own, but you're going to have a good amount of Zephyrs on the battleground, and these Zephyrs are going to be doing a good amount of damage. You'll even see yourself getting kills from your Zephyrs after you've left the fight. You might have even gotten killed by a Tempest Zephyrs after they've left the fight. And now onto the set items. So there are 3 sets you should be using. That's Vithus, Mountebank, and Gloom Guide. I use a 4-piece Gloom, a 2-piece Mountebank, and a 2-piece Vithus. If you need a deeper dive into set items, I did make a video explaining every single set, and I will link that in the description. But if you do find yourself to be a little bit too squishy still with only using 2 Mountebank, you can try for 4, and then use 2 Gloom, 2 Vithus. And I've had success using 4, but I found 2 pieces of Mountebank to work the best. And then, of course, if you don't have any attack speed from any other sources, then you might want to try out using 4 Vithus, 2 Mountebank, 2 Gloom Guide. But at the end of the day, just recommend you try what I'm doing and then adjust as you see fit. Alright, so while we're looking at the set items, let's go through some of these magic attributes. So of course, the bread and butter of PvP is damage taken from players reduced and damage done to players increased. You can get these on a bunch of different pieces, and it will help you deal a lot more damage. So you're going to try and get this on your necklace. I was fortunate enough to have gotten this necklace with both of them on there. If you can't get both of them on there, just try and get skill cooldown reduction, because that is also another big thing. So if you can use your skills more often, then you can do more damage, of course. And then of course on your waist and then on your boots, having that beneficial effect duration. Same thing with your rings, adding that skill cooldown reduction. This one I have damage to shielded enemies, but that's because I had to roll for skill cooldown. And then same thing on the bracelets, damage taken from players, damage taken reduced. Not as good as damage from taken from players, but you can only adjust one of them, of course. And then same thing on the other. And then now with the magic attributes on our legendary items. So I'm trying to have a lot of crit hit chance when I'm in BGs. But of course on our chest and on our legs, you gotta have that beneficial effect duration on there. And then from there you can go to your other pieces and add in the crit and stuff like that. I did make a YouTube video explaining magic reforges for legendary items, which I will link in the description if you want to get a deeper look into it. But the biggest things are going to be your crit modifiers, attack speed, primary attack damage. And then another thing is these eternal affixes. These things are the backbone of Tempest builds. You need to have these Flowing Strike eternal affixes in order to use this build and most PvP builds for Tempest. Get 4 out of 4. 3 out of 4 is okay, but trying to do it with less, you're kind of just setting yourself up for failure. Just do a bunch of Oblivion Pillars, do a bunch of your HSBs, kill Diablo every week, do all your Terror Rifts, try and get these pieces. Save anything that has Flowing Strike. It's not a bad idea to use a piece that would maybe be 2290 combat rating with only Flowing Strike on it because of how good it is. And then another eternal affix you can look out for is Windwalk, because this will help you restore some health just by standing in it. And each piece is going to restore 2% of your max HP 6 times, pretty much. You're going to be in there pretty much the whole time. So essentially, you can get 12% of your max HP. You're not going to end up getting the full 12 just due to how things work in BGs. And your HP is, of course, lowered, so it's going to be less of a heal. But at the end of the day, that it is still a heal. And I've even found myself in predicaments where I escape and I only had a little bit of health. And I might have only had that little bit of health because I've healed from Windwalk. But this one is not make or break, so if you don't have it, don't really worry about it. And same thing with the Rolling Surf. This will help you do just a little bit more damage, but this is not something that you should be like, oh, if I don't have this, I can't play. You can just forget about it. All you really need is Flowing Strike. On to the Reforge Bonuses. So I recently just put out a deep dive into Reforge Bonuses, so you can check that out at this card on the screen or in the video description. And I used to have a Reforge loadout specifically for PvP, but during doing my testing for that video and trying to get my wizard to a high level of damage, I messed those up a little bit. But still, I have all bonuses that apply both PvE and PvP. And I was able to use a few stones and get some damage to players on these pieces. So if you want to know how to set up your Reforges, check out that video, but this is a good baseline you can start with some of these bonuses that I have. The damage done to players increased, and from the Jolt Stone, the damage taken from players are going to be the two biggest things that are going to boost you up in PvP. And then, of course, the rest of these still do apply. So these are a good baseline, especially for those of you who are more PvE focused. You could just run with these, and I've been having a very good time this way. Of course, it would be even crazier having more of these damage done to players, but luckily I do have those on some of my set items. And now for the legendary gems. So I can give you a few potential loadouts to use, but this is the one I'm currently using. I auxiliary inlay a Phoenix Ashes into my Void Spark and a Spiteful Blood into my Wolf Hort, because those two gems aren't that great in PvP, so the utility from a Phoenix Ashes and Spiteful honestly helps you become very slippery. You can get away from a lot of things. It gives you an extra cheat death from the Phoenix Ashes, and the Spiteful Blood helps you 1v1 other primary attack heavy characters like Demon Hunter or even other Tempests. But the biggest thing in my opinion is that you should be using a Pain Clasp and some type of dot, some type of damage over time, like a Viper's Bite, or like the pants we're using, Crosswinds with the bleed. Because getting this 24% additional damage onto enemy players is going to rip them up. And I'm confident that's part of the reason I do a lot of damage. So if you're not using these gems, then you can use some of these damage boosting gems like these ones that I'll put them on the screen. So you can pick between them. If you have some of these, you can be like, you can use those, or you can swap them out if you have them dormant. So using these flat damage boosting gems are always good. Or you can throw in some defensive gems like these ones in order to keep yourself in the fight longer, as being alive is the undisputed #1 way to deal more damage. And then also you should use gems that apply dots, which is damage over time, like Viper's Bite or Seeping Bile, or even gems that apply loss of control, like these ones on screen. But at the end of the day, you can just go with what I have and then try to slowly work on getting a gem set up for PvP. And now onto the Paragon tree. There is some hidden tech in here, which you can use to go from just being a strong character to becoming a kind of a big problem for the enemy. So of course we're using Gladiator, and in this tree we're using Cheat Death, of course, and I'm also using Juggernaut. Now Juggernaut is the secret sauce. So when you defeat 6 enemies in a row, all of your health comes back, and this could be from 0. So you can use this to your advantage. If you know you're at a 5 kill streak and you have no health, instead of running away and going to heal, you can charge forward into the fight if you know you can get that 6th kill, or if you think you can, and you just try and go for it. And then once you get that 6th kill, immediately you're back to full HP. So then now you can maybe even get a 7th if there's more people around. Or you can just become a deterrent because you aren't dead anymore. Another part of the secret sauce is First Aid. So this is basically just going to heal you if you ever get to low health and you're next to a party member. It's very easy for this to proc, and it almost acts as another Cheat Death, because you get to low HP and now you're back to over half. So using all 3 of those together, it almost gives you 3 different cheat deaths. And of course with it, we're using Grizzled Veteran. And then when you do kill someone, your bonuses go up. So it helps you streak a little bit more, which helps you get to Juggernaut. And then for the legendary skill, using Overloaded, part of the reason this is because I'm not using Vithus. So this extra burst is going to help make up for that loss of 30%. And quickly, I'll touch on the bonuses that I'm getting from my pets. I don't have any crazy pets. I have 10 out of 11 traits. So that's the biggest thing to think about with pets. Just try and get these traits and forget about the rest of it. And of course, I do have Savior on my main pet, even though none of these traits are active because it have to be a double Lego stat. But I have Savior nonetheless, and that is the biggest thing when it comes to PvP. And quickly, I'll touch on the Warband bonus. So you can use either attacker or protector. I've been trying out both of them just kind of based on how my matches are feeling. If I know I'm in like a little bit of tougher lobbies, I'll put on protector, but you can just keep running protector. Attacker's not a bad idea depending on what your build is and how you are faring yourself. I'm not trying to make this into a remnant video, but of course if you have better remnants you'll do better. And then lastly, my charm. So the only two things that are really benefiting me are Rolling Surf and Crosswinds. I have Storm Fury on there for PvE, same thing with Vortex. Just getting Rolling Surf and Crosswinds at 2% will give you a tangible difference in your damage output. So I recommend trying to get those two skills, if nothing else. So here's a final look at my stats before I go into showing you how to use this build effectively. So I try to have as high as possible armor penetration, of course, because that's the main reason I'm able to do so well and put up a fight, even against people that are stronger than I am. So if you didn't know already, get your armor penetration up, have Fortitude on your pieces, use these blue socket greens, and put your sapphires in there, because armor penetration is going to be the way to go. So now, how do you actually play this build? This may come to surprise you, but winning in BGs is not determined on who spends the most money. There are a lot of things that come into play. Some of them are your own skill level with the class that you're playing, your positioning, your map awareness, your decision making. I'll kind of go through a lot of this with visual examples, explaining some of my own matches and clips from them to give you some insight into how to make this build work as best as possible. So the first type of playstyle is about diving the backline, or kind of just sneaking up around. There's two ways you can do it. You can go about it. You can try and shimmy past the idol to get to the back, or you can just, depending on how the match is set up at the moment, you can just run around, do a big loop. So this strategy is insanely important when you're trying to just push the idol, because sometimes you can't even sit on it long enough to help. It's very easy to jump past it all, start going for the wizards and DHs in the back. So before you even approach a fight, you should be thinking about whether it's better for you to jump to the backline or to stay on idle. So let me run you through my thought process in this one specific clip to show you how you can think about this. So I'm making my way towards a fight. I can see where the majority of the action is on my mini map, and that's where I'm trying to go. So my focus is going to be taking out all the DPS that are behind the group. And on my way there, I see this Tempest. And I can tell immediately that he doesn't have any cheat death abilities because of his HP bar. You can see. So he has a little skinny HP bar. There's nothing like kind of fortifying it. That means he will die immediately. He doesn't have any cheat deaths. Whereas you look at mine, it's more fortified, my HP bar. So you can tell I have a cheat death available. So once I've identified that, I know that I can stun and try and burst this guy down. Because if I catch the stun first and he can't get away from it, it's over for him. So I immediately press all my abilities. I dash in, I stun him here. And then the only reason I took this detour is because he doesn't have his cheat death. Otherwise, I would have just continued on and tried to fight him with the group. So I burst him down, and I'm able to make my way over. And as I'm making my way this way, one of their DPS is running away. And because he's running away, he's got no cooldowns. He probably doesn't have a don't die, even though I can't really make out his HP bar. But I'm going to go for him immediately. And luckily, I'm able to get a stun on him right here and burst him down. And then his friend comes in. But because I've identified all these things, I haven't blown my windwalk, which is the biggest thing when you're going to be 1v1ing, especially Monk, because they don't take that much damage. So as soon as I kill this Tempest, I start fighting the Monk. First thing I do is drop that windwalk, because he would probably win this 1v1 if I don't have it. Or it'd be very hard. I'd have to run away and try to kite him. So I pop the windwalk, I'm untargetable, and I start attacking. And through that, I'm able to kill him. And so now I've affected this fight that's happening at the idol, and I haven't even been there. We're going to win that idol fight because I've killed so many people from the back that are doing the damage, and I've stopped some of them from coming back into the fight. But I'm not even done here. I continue on to try and find more of these backline, especially DH. DH is the biggest problem. I can see that he has a don't die, so I need to burst him down to initiate that first don't die. Maybe he has multiple, and then try and survive until he is able to be killed. So I stun, burst him down, and my windwalk is about to pop up, and I realize this, so I'm trying to bait this fight a little bit into my favor. So I kind of group them up a little bit. I still have my rolling surf and crosswinds up, and then right here, I pop my windwalk. They think they have me on the ropes, but little do they know they're on the ropes. And I turn the whole thing around. And then now, if I were to have stayed, I could have died from that barb, so this is where I exit. And that's part of knowing what you need to be doing, is when to be in and when to be out. So now I'm out and I heal. And then in the same exact play, almost, you can see how you would do this if you're trying to shimmy past. See, I stay on the outside here to stay away from these wizard bubbles and the storms as much as I can, because you need to be in them for a little bit to really get frozen. So I stay on the edge. I don't even get touched. Dash in. Immediately, this Tempest is stunned. If the Satyr was alive, he'd be stunned too, but he dies. I pull off a kill on the Tempest. I still have my dash from Flowing Strike. My cooldowns just came off. So now I'm going to dash into them because I can stun. And here I stun both of them, as you can see. And now I'm just able to burst down. Neither of these guys have don't dies, so it'll work out in our favor. Get him down. Now his friend's here. But my cooldowns are about to turn off, and I don't have windwalk. So I kind of have to stall this one out a little bit. I can try to get a little bit of damage in, but I need to run. And so this is where you can turn around some of these fights. They think they have me, but my cooldowns come back up, dash back in, he's stunned. And his friend comes, so I pop my windwalk, and I'm out. I'm not going to win this fight, so I'm just going to leave. So now the second type of playstyle is about holding the idol with windwalk. So if you don't need to dive into the backline, or if you can't make it in your instance, then what you could do is dive directly on top of the idol and pop windwalk. So this will give you a few seconds where you can stand there. This could be the reason you stop the idol from a team of assaulting barbs, and then you can just DPS down everybody while you're there. Get the barbs to their undying rage, so that will stop them from being able to push the idol while they're in that. And then depending on how the fight goes, you either can push forward into their backline or you retreat. A lot of times it's going to be better for you to go in, do as much damage as possible, and then leave. And then once your cooldowns come back, you can do the same thing or do the first thing we talked about and jump straight to the backline. So as you can see here, there's a big fight happening on top of the idol. I can't really make it my way past this, and there's not really much going on behind it for me to do anything. So the best thing for me to do is jump straight on idol. I give myself a few seconds for my cooldowns to come off, and then immediately, right before my windwalk even comes, I jump in. Boom, and then I pop it immediately. So now I'm on this idol, invulnerable, untargetable, being able to do damage. So we're able to pick off the barb and this Tempest, and I'm still on the idol. And this is where I start to make my escape, because I know I'm gonna have no cooldowns. More of their teammates are coming, so I'm gonna back off a little bit. And now this is where you make the decision. Do you stay back, heal, and wait for another big fight, or maybe you can now dive to the back line because we've kind of taken care of some of the front line. So I'm going to give myself a few seconds for my cooldowns to come back, and then I can see this guy doesn't have a don't die, so I'm going to try and take him out to stop their push from happening again. And of course, again, I stay on the wall to stay away from all of these wizard bubbles. And you can see even there's a wizard on top of me, but I'm about to go over there, stun him, and then I still have my windwalk. And here I choose to not jump directly onto the wizard, because as long as I'm behind him, then I know I can get the one up. The only way that they can get away is if I don't have windwalk and if they have some distance on me and where they can get their bubbles. So I dive between them to try and stun the Tempest or the monk here, but I miss the stun on the monk, however he still dies. And then now this opens me up to kill this other monk in the back here, along with the wizard. I'm in my windwalk, so I can't take any damage, and it'll stop me from being stunned, which is the most important thing, especially against these wizards. Popping your windwalk will prevent you from being able to get stun locked out. So we take care of the wizard, and then I make my way back. And then the third type of playstyle is about baiting 1v1s or 1v2s. This is a type of play that will happen at the end of both of the first two that I mentioned, and it'll just happen randomly around the match. So this one is a little bit more technical. It'll require you to have a little bit better understanding of your cooldowns, how much damage you do, how much you can take, and all these things. There is a lot of stuff going into it. I'll try to explain this clip of a 1v2 that I found myself in after trying to fight on the idol. So here I don't have my windwalk. They've got some healthy teammates on the way, and my skills are about to be on cooldown, so I kind of just have to wait this one out. I'm not going to be able to do much by standing here because there'll be 4 or 5 seconds where I'm kind of just useless. So I make my way away, trying to stay kind of in the fight. But now that this Tempest is here and I can see there's a Blood Knight sneaking up on me, I need to move because I don't have any skills at the moment, and they will win that fight. So I make my way away, and this Tempest starts to chase me, which is a good thing. I want him to chase me because at this very moment, I can turn this fight around and kill him. So I keep baiting him. My teammate shows up too, so the BK starts moving that way. But this Tempest is on me. But now my cooldowns are back, so I can fight him, and he's doing a good amount of damage to me, so I need to use my windwalk here. Other thing I could have done is stunned him, but my windwalk was up first, so I used that. I pick off the Tempest. And now my teammate is getting killed by this BK, so I need to... Hopefully I can save him, but he doesn't have any cheat deaths, so he ends up dying himself. But now I'm able to jump into this BK and stun him. Unfortunately, his dots get my teammate. And because this BK's stunned, he can't go invulnerable. I can just burst him down, and he's dead. So what you need to do is understand when you should be using each of these kind of play styles. And as you play this build more, you do more BGs on Tempest, you get your skills up, you get your stats up, then you'll start to dominate in a lot of different matches. A lot of times, if you have a little bit more game sense than the other team, then you can pull off wins on people who are stronger than you. And even you playing better, positioning better is going to help your teammates just naturally end up and being in better positions, even if they're not really thinking about it too much. So with all that being said, I'd like to thank you all for watching. If you made it through the whole video, big ups to you. Please leave a like and a comment. Let me know if you have any questions about this build, about anything with BGs. I'll try to get back to every single comment that's left. And if there is anything else you'd like to see from me, please also leave a comment about that down below. Peace.